All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
Doing well. Season's over, but now we got the playoffs. It's that love-hate.
This is what I like to call the best time of the year. So, we got a packed show for you guys today. Me and Evan are going to be discussing, obviously, the Game 1 preview between the Bucks and the Pacers. Game's happening Sunday afternoon, Sunday afternoon in Milwaukee. So what me and Evan are going to discuss today is we're going to go through what we're expecting from Game 1, the impact of Giannis' injury that it'll likely have on Game 1 and the games coming after. What will Damian Lillard need to do to step up in Game 1 and help Milwaukee secure a Game 1 win? I did have a stat in here that says 2018 Milwaukee is 3-3 in Game 1 scenarios. So, they've been kind of a teeter-totter, very much hit or miss, very inconsistent. So, and then what does Milwaukee have to do to slow down Pacers star guard Tyrese Haliburton? Because I think, obviously, heading into tomorrow's game, he will be the focal point. Mm-hmm. I guess what concerns do you have for Milwaukee heading into Game 1? And also, the last topic of the day will be, what is your prediction for Game 1 in Milwaukee? So, we'll get into this first topic right away. Evan, what are you expecting from Game 1?
It's hard to expect something that I hope to happen, rather than what I really think is going to happen. I saw, one of the Pacers' last game, they scored 156 points. Now, I think that was regulation time, but 156 points is a lot of points. Now, I don't know how that's going to correlate to the Bucks and their defense, but without Giannis, it's going to be tough. I feel like what they're going to need to do just realistically, and what I expect is the Pacers are going to come out hot. They're quick. They're fast. They got young guys, and I feel like they're going to need to figure out how to defend the paint without Giannis. Now, Giannis isn't usually their primary paint protector just because you have Brook Lopez, but you lose that huge defensive end with Giannis just in general. So I expect a high-scoring game, let alone a high-scoring series. But yeah, I think the game is going to be a lot of back and forth, and then I just feel like one team's just going to be able to make one run that basically, I guess, wins them the game, essentially. Like, it's just going to be basket after basket, and then one team's going to make like a little 12-something run or something like that, and then that's the game. That's my bold prediction, and I hope it goes in the Bucks' favor.
Yeah, and again, this will be it's not like Milwaukee doesn't have experience facing off against division rivals in the postseason. A couple years ago, they faced off against the Bulls. Few years before that, they faced off against the Pistons. So they are experienced in facing off against division rivals, and generally speaking, they've handled it pretty well. But for me, it's one of those things where the Pacers have had Milwaukee's number this year. So, and realistically speaking, I don't know how good of a matchup Indiana has without. Or excuse me, let me try that sentence again. Indiana's not a good matchup for Milwaukee, and without Giannis, that makes the task to beat Indiana a little more difficult because they haven't had an answer for Tyrese Haliburton in the past. TJ McConnell's still on the team. They still have Miles Turner.
They got Buddy Hield now and Pascal Siakam.
So that just makes
not Hield.
Buddy. Yeah, I forget that too. So, but you're right. They do have Siakam, and they just got a lot of like they're a relatively underrated team that just doesn't they because they have no like I guess you could consider Haliburton a star, but he's not like he's a star, but he's not. I don't think in that. Like he's an underrated star. He's a quiet
It's up and
superstar.
coming.
Like he's not gonna get talked about, but he just lets his game do the talking.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, it's just does Milwaukee have someone that could slow him down? Okay, because it's sure as hell not gonna be Damian Lillard. And if it's not Lillard, then they still have Malik Beasley. And can Malik Beasley, can he step up to the task and hold Tyrese Haliburton to, I don't know, 15, 17 points? Because I think he's going to get his. But is there a way that, they can make the other guys at Indiana beat them? And I think if they do that, I think Milwaukee could secure a game one win. But the other thing too, it's like you mentioned about a team going on a run. Okay. Generally speaking, Milwaukee has been able to they've been able to go on runs. It's the problem is, can they finish games?
Correct.
Under Doc Rivers, can they finish games? That's the part where I'm gonna really watch heading into game one. Where if they get a double digit lead, are they gonna be?
Yeah, how long can they drag?
Are they gonna perform well enough offensively to be to be like this team is rolling? Because they were rolling this year to start the year under Adrian Griffin, but after he got fired, the offense had a slight drop off. He did fix the defense, but the offense was
Mm-hmm.
it fell down some spots. So how's the offense going to look if they get a decent sized lead?
Yeah, I feel like it's just going to be Lillard's going to have to show up. Not that he doesn't in general, but he's going to have to be consistent when he's showing up. Can't have a 4 of 12 game, a 3 of 15. It's like the dude, if you're going to be taking 15 shots, you're going to have to try to make 40% of them. There's no way you're going to be able to hold a team by shooting 27% from 3, especially if you're a primary scorer without Giannis now. So I feel like the offense just in general is going to need to click, and they're going to need to figure out who has the hot hand and kind of go from there. With Giannis being out, obviously other guys are going to be playing probably a little more minutes or in a different position with Giannis being out. So I'm assuming Pat Conta might get more minutes. I'm assuming there's a off chance that AJ Green gets minutes if he comes back. And some of these guys where whoever has the hot hand, I feel like should be the primary one scoring. And I don't want to see shots being forced up just because why not? I feel like if someone's not there shooting, just give it to the person who is. Every so often, take a shot or two if you're open, but don't force a shot that's not there, especially if you're on a huge cold streak, because I feel like that just makes everything worse, and it's not necessarily a waste of a possession, but there could be other ways to potentially score. But yeah, I feel like if Lillard can kind of get hot and stay consistent this whole game, and I feel like, again, a little dark horse type candidate for scoring just in general in this series, I feel like it's going to be Bobby. I feel like he kind of understands the situation that they're in. I feel like Chris Middleton does as well. And my sleeper pick, not to score a lot of points, but to have a huge impact, is Patrick Beverley. I don't know if you saw, I saved it just I didn't forget, but on his podcast the other day, whoever the guy, I don't listen to the podcast, but whoever the guy is, asked him what's going on with Giannis. Patrick Beverley responded with, "We're going to be ready." And then the guy said he's whole squad, and then kind of Beverly just kind of nod his head at him. So I hope that's that mentality that they're kind of getting going into it of, all right, Giannis is out. We gotta perform. And I feel like we have a lot of the guys who are capable of being a leader like that when your main guy is out. I feel like Patrick Beverley will have a huge impact. I feel like Jay Crowder will. I feel like Chris Middleton. There's so many guys who they have that could have that impact without Giannis. So I really hope something clicks going into this series where they can just prove everyone wrong of not having Giannis, you can still win a game or win a playoff series, I should say. I hope they can win a game. I don't want them to get swept, but if they're going to win a playoff series, I really just want them to just kind of shut all the Milwaukee haters up because, oh my God, is it so annoying hearing everything negative about Milwaukee in the last, I don't know, few months now that Doc Rivers is here.
Yeah, I agree, and I saw an article today where it's like, they're people in the industry are going to be preparing for Milwaukee's breaking up the team if it doesn't work out. I'm just like, God, everybody's so negative, and it's just like
it makes no.
I mean,
sense.
it gets old pretty. It gets old like so quickly. Where
They
it's
hate
like
that a small market team.
I know. It's just like
it's not the Lakers. Oh my God.
It's like it's just like nobody brings that same energy for the Lakers.
Correct.
Nobody brings that same energy for the Nuggets. Nobody brings that same energy for the Timberwolves. Like, why is it always like? It really just boils down to the fact that ESPN doesn't hate. He just hated the fact that Damian Lillard went to Milwaukee. So at every turn, they've just taken like just a bunch of pot shots throughout the years. Stephen A. Smith was with his stupid ass like unnamed sources saying like, oh, he's not happy in Milwaukee, blah blah blah. I mean, he literally said that. He literally did he not say that? Did he not say that?
Did.
The reason why he's not happy in Milwaukee is because his fucking kids are away from him. They're still living in the Portland area. They're not in Milwaukee. Like, honestly, people just have like rocks for brains. Like, nobody is sitting here being like, Dame literally admitted that in an interview with Chris Haynes that it hasn't been easy because I'm going through a divorce and my kids are like away from me, like going to school in the Portland area. That's not new news. Like, and all this stuff, and then people just try to like connect the dots. Where it's like, well, maybe he wants to, maybe he wants to leave. I'd go where? Miami doesn't have the assets to trade for him. Like, we've been through this song and dance before. Nobody else has the assets to trade for Damian Lillard. Okay, what are you gonna do for a guy who's like going through a divorce, and and his kids are away from like this is some stuff Dame's unfortunately had to deal with, and so Stephen A. says that, then you get Brian Windhorst, then Brian Windhorst is like basically saying Giannis is going to leave even though he just signed a contract extension, so that's kind of dumb. It's just
nobody thinks.
It's just I could look like you can't win like Brian Windhorst. To him, like if it was up to him, Milwaukee wouldn't even be in the NBA. They would just be like like Milwaukee would move to Vegas. That's how Brian Windhorst treats the Bucks. Okay. Again, you can't even win with Windhorst. So the thing is like, yeah, it's like he never thought Giannis was going to sign his extension. Then Giannis signs his extension. Well, why did Giannis sign his extension? He didn't need to sign it now. And all of a sudden, Milwaukee goes through a rough stretch. Well, maybe Giannis could leave Milwaukee. We've been through this song and dance for like the past year, and he still hasn't left Milwaukee. Last time I checked, the 34 is still on the back of his jersey. Last time I checked, he's still running down like a bull in a china shop at Fiserv Forum. So, again, ESPN, here's the thing. I don't have any respect for that network. I really don't. And I'm sick and tired of, people just calling themselves experts. There's nobody that's an expert outside of maybe JJ Redick and Tim Legler. Outside of that, everybody else is just a brain-dead moron. And I'm just going to say it. Okay, Stephen A. Smith doesn't know what he's talking about. Kendrick Perkins doesn't know what he's talking about. Who, by the way, I don't even think he should be on the air, to be honest with you. Because just because you watch basketball, okay, that doesn't mean that you're good on TV. Okay, there's a complete difference between the two. Who else? Windhorst.
See Doris Burke's statement the other day.
Doris Burke, another noted Bucks hater. What did she say?
During the Knicks Bulls game,
Uh-huh.
Doris said that I have the thing up here. Out the idea that Jalen Brunson could take Giannis' spot in the 2024 All NBA First Team because New York finished higher than the Bucks. And there was someone else too that put Giannis in second team and Brunson in the first team. I don't remember who it was.
The glazing on Jalen Brunson this year. Look, I am not disrespecting Jalen Brunson's game. He is a really good player. Do not get me wrong. But again, oh my goodness. Look, I think Jalen Brunson's a good player. Do I think he's deserving an NBA first team over Giannis? Everybody's going to get stumped from the first team. Exactly. Okay, but everybody gets okay, but there are players you can make that argument every year. Okay, at the end of the day, you only pick 5 players. So it's like, okay, if you want to put Jalen Brunson in, then who are you taking out? Like, correct. Do we know who the NBA first team was this year?
I don't think yet.
I don't think they might have not have named it. That might be coming soon. I'm gonna do some quick research on it because again, I'm not 100% aware of like when the kind of stuff gets named.
Oh. Yeah, I think it'll probably be out right before the playoffs start. No, but I was looking at that and I saw that, and then Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report's kind of been up in the air. You know, like their season grades for like how well did this team do this season?
What, they give us a C-?
Oh, a D. So you're telling me the Detroit Pistons got an F and the Bucks were a D?
I mean, look, I completely understand that Milwaukee went through a slide to end the season, okay? But realistically speaking, like outside of, and again, let's keep this in mind too, is that the last time Milwaukee, won was a 3 seed, I believe, they won the championship. So it's not necessarily like they're kind of under the radar heading into the postseason. And again, I understand there's a lot of pressure on Milwaukee to win this series. I completely understand that. But let's get this out of our heads real quick. If Milwaukee loses a series, Doc Rivers still keeps his job. They just paid him to take over the team, and he signed a contract.
Yeah, you're not going to be paying for
They're not paying out 3 coaches. They're not. Okay? It sucks what happened to Adrian. It sucks what happened to Adrian Griffin. It really does. But they're not. But they're not paying out like another. They're not firing. They're not getting rid of Doc Rivers just because it doesn't work. They're not. It's not going to happen. Okay. At the end of the day, John Horst made this bed. Now he's got to lay in it if it doesn't work out. We're stuck with that. We're basically going to be, I don't want to say stuck with Doc Rivers because I do think that, I don't like making an excuse for him, but I think the one excuse you could make is, with the full training camp, maybe we could see what he puts into place.
Yeah, a difference maker with a whole season under his belt,
yeah, 100%.
And a summer as well.
100%. Look, I don't want to say we're stuck with Doc Rivers, but Doc Rivers will be our coach next year. So everybody get that out of our minds that if it doesn't work out, if we're out in 5 games, we're not firing Doc Rivers. Okay? Because look, if we're going to keep recycling coaches, then we go from a stable organization to an unstable organization.
Correct.
Okay? And the other thing too, it's with ownership, I feel like ownership and the GM has rabbit ears a little bit, where it's just we're hearing what the fan base we hear what the fan base thinks, and all of a sudden, that coach is gone. Or, I feel like there was a more or less a large contingent of people who didn't like Budenholzer, who didn't like Griffin. Where are those guys now? They're gone. Because, I don't know. I just feel like the last 2 years, ownership and John Horst has kind of gone geared a little towards, especially in like coaching moves specifically, where I think a large contingent wanted Mike Budenholzer out, and it's like, okay, now's the time. Now's the time. And by the way, I feel like they'd been trying to like push him out for 2 years, but they won championships, so then that extends your leash a little longer. And then all of a sudden you lose in 5 games and you're out. Um, but and again, looking back on it, obviously the decision to hire Coach Adrian Griffin was short sighted because he had no experience. Okay, he was expecting to win a championship, and he really didn't. He never really gained respect in the locker room. So then it's like, all right, well then we got fired. So then it's like, all right, well if Giannis lost trust in him and Dame lost trust in him, like he has no locker room then. So he's out. So then we hire Doc Rivers, and it's just like, it's been up and down. He's fixed the defense. The offense I'm a little concerned about, but I mean, look, the Bucks did kind of do this themselves, and I would say John Horst did some of this to himself, not only by the coaching hire, but by the people he decided to sign in free agency. Okay. I mean, the Robin Lopez signing, it was very evident that he was washed, that he was not going to make a lick of difference for this team this year, other than for entertainment value. And that's really, really broad, to be honest with you. Malik Beasley. I think the Malik Beasley, it's been hit or miss, but I think for the most part, he's a starter on this team. And I don't know if the role they're asking him to play necessarily fits him, because he's always been like a more or less a three, like a three guy. I don't think he's ever been like a guy who's could be your best defender. The Lillard trade, I would say the Lillard trade is, I think that's been very much hit or miss. I think there's been some good moments there, with the game-winning shot against Sacramento. But his efficiency, I don't think it's been great. I don't think his three-point shooting has been great. We haven't seen many vintage Dame time moments. And it's probably because he's, again, I know people don't have to use this excuse, but he is dealing with a lot off the court. Obviously, all that goes out the window once you get to the playoffs. And it's like, I don't want to hear about, you could deal with that early in the season, but once you get to the playoffs, I don't want to hear about Dame's, being with his kids or his divorce. It's like now it's put for show up time. The Cameron Payne signing very much did not work out. So again, the team that John Horst built around Dame and Giannis and Chris and Brooke, like there was maybe one good signing in there, but outside of that, it was just like, yeesh.
I always forget. I keep forgetting about campaign because it was just so in and out in the season. I really thought that was going to be a good signing, like a very under the radar signing too, especially how he played with Phoenix, especially during their finals run as well. I thought that was going to be a good one, and I'm kind of glad they got him at first, but yeah, they didn't really pan out. I don't know. It'll just be interesting. I just kind of think the big thing for them is just block it all out and just kind of play the game that I feel like they know what to do in. I don't know. Indiana's just going to be tough. And I'm just kind of reading like Indiana's like the first 6 seed to be favorited to win over a 3 seed in NBA history in the playoffs, and the Bucks title odds are 1.6, and they're like the third lowest. It's like the media's out there to hate on the Bucks, and I feel like the Bucks see it. Obviously, they see it, they hear it, they experience it wherever they go. And I know, obviously knowing the team, who they got on the team, that they're gonna figure out a way to kind of quiet it up a little bit if they can, especially if they can get past this first round, potentially without Giannis. Again, we don't know like the exact date that he'll come back. But yeah, if they can kind of get past this round without him and kind of have a Dame moment of him being able to kind of take over and lead the team to a playoff series, I feel like one, people are going to be like, oh, they got lucky. Like Lillard just kind of had really good games and blah, blah, blah. Or Tyrese wasn't having the best or blah, blah, blah. the Bucks could sweep the Pacers and they could still figure out a way to hate on the Bucks. That's just how Milwaukee media gets for Bucks and the Brewers. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I have no hope. I don't want to get my hopes up, but there is a very, very, very high chance that Lillard will just kind of be like F around and find out and just kind of show everyone what he's capable of doing as a leader of a team, especially without their actual guy.
Yeah, so this is this will be fun. So next up, what do you think the impact of Giannis's injury what do you think the impact of Giannis's injury will have on this game? I'm reading something right now that I think when I said earlier 2 to 4 weeks, let's also keep in mind too, he did get hurt on April 9th.
I was going to say, do they count in that time that he's already missed, or are they
so they do count that in.
Okay.
They do count that in. So Woj said start of the playoffs. And he'll likely miss the first 2 games, depending on how his around the clock care is going.
Mm-hmm.
So, for the first couple of games, what do you think the impact of Giannis's injury will have on the team?
I think it's obviously going to have a big impact, but I feel like it's going to be a lot different than people think. Now, I think the biggest impact is the most obvious is the scoring. You're not going to be getting the finishing that Giannis has, the potential, 25 to 30 points minimum would be my guess. And then you're also just not getting the leadership on the court, the playmaking on the court. But I feel like after seeing how they play without Giannis, when it's Lillard leading the team without Giannis, they do a lot better than Giannis without Lillard. So that's kind of something that's up in the air of there could be a chance that, they do a little better than people expect because of how Lillard can kind of impact and run the plays, run the court. It'll have a bigger impact than most people think, but I really think the biggest thing is just going to be losing his scoring and kind of that court presence, I guess, on defense and offense. But yeah, it'll have a big impact, but I feel more comfortable saying that there's a better chance this year than last year. Last year they were cooked. There's no way that they were beating the Heat. Obviously, they didn't even beat the Heat. They got cooked by them, but the Bucks would have been done for if Giannis was out that entire series. I mean, he kind of was with his injury, but I just can't keep doing this. we're losing time on making another championship. But yeah, I feel more comfortable going to this series than I do last year as a 1 seed playing an 8 seed.
Yeah, and that was mostly because we didn't have as we kind of saw is the biggest concern was the bench. We did not have a good enough bench. Matter of fact, I still struggle to name some of the players who we had coming off the bench. I know it was Javon Carter. We had the Beauchamp who barely played. With Jay Crowder. It was just I just don't think we had a great supporting cast. I think they were held up by the fact that we just had a good starting unit, and I think that helped us win a majority of our games.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the supporting cast after those guys just wasn't great. Couldn't score anything offensively. Giannis fucked up his back. So, and Middleton only played in 30+ games. Realistically, after those guys, it's just we weren't winning. We're done. Unfortunately, it sucks to say that, and I wish John Horst would have taken some of that into account, where it's Giannis fucked up his back and Chris was hurt. But it's he didn't. So then, Mike Budenholzer unfortunately lost his job because of that. And Miami went all the way to the finals. So I don't know. It was one of those things where last year everything just kind of compounded. And it just, unfortunately, it was an unfortunate 5-game gentleman's sweep. So, I mean, look, it's going to have a massive impact on this game. It's going to have a massive impact, really depending on when he comes back, because we don't know when he's coming back. Okay, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 4 weeks. It really depends on how his rehab is going. But what I can tell you is that the other guys have to step up. Okay, we're talking Pat Connaughton. We're talking, not even just Dame. Okay, we're talking Malik Beasley. We're talking Brook Lopez. We're Pat Bev, AJ Green. Those guys have to step up. Because when you ask any NBA player, what's the biggest reason why you win a championship?
Say that again. Sorry, you kind of were in and out.
Oh, I cut out. Okay. If you ask any NBA player, if you ask any NBA player on a podcast, what's the biggest reason for winning a championship?
You got to get the ring. That's mine.
The supporting cast. That is the biggest reason why any team wins a championship. And like LeBron said, and I was kind of watched a clip of LeBron's new podcast with JJ Redick. He said you got to get some breaks along the way. Which is, Milwaukee, when they won the championship, they did get some breaks along the way. Kyrie got hurt, James Harden got hurt, and Kevin Durant's big-ass size 16s were on the line. But, again, you got to get some breaks along the way. And, even going to that Hawks series, like Giannis got hurt, but so did Trae Young.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we're without our star player, but you're basically without yours either. So that's what Milwaukee has to do, is they have to catch some breaks along the way. Now, it's not a good start by the fact that we're going to be without Giannis for the first time in ever. But this will be a good litmus test to be for John Horst especially, to be did I put together a good enough team to beat the Pacers? And that's going to be one of the questions that's going to be solved in this series.
Yeah, just kind of, again, looking at it, you look back to 21. Obviously, other teams had injuries, but so did the Bucks, and people always been like, oh, the Bucks would not have won it. Kevin Durant has stepped on the line, or Giannis went out and hurt Kyrie. It's like, shut up. That stuff bugs me because that was 3 years ago already. But yeah, it's one of those things where hopefully we can catch a break on something. Maybe Giannis comes back quicker. Maybe the Bucks go 2-0 at home right here and kind of go into Indiana with that momentum kind of going into the series. But it's one of those things where you never know what's going to happen. I feel like a lot of people, whether it's for the Bucks or just in any team, whatever their predicament is, I feel like they just kind of jump the gun on a lot of things without even starting anything or noticing. Nothing started yet. Obviously, there's predictions, see what happens, but people are just so quick to absolutely eliminate a team because their star player is out for maybe 2 games. And it's not like if you lose Giannis, it's not like you're not like the Magic. You lose Paolo, now what are you going to do? Or it's not like we'll say the Knicks, you lose Brunson, now what? Who do you have who could really turn that offense around and score? But I don't know. I just kind of hate, again, the media hate against Milwaukee without, again, kind of seeing what Lillard's able to do. But I don't know. We'll see, because I know the Heat right now, Jimmy Butler isn't playing, which kind of sucks because if they win, they play the Celtics, and again, I wouldn't want to play the Heat, but I'd rather play the Heat again than play the Celtics. So we'll kind of see what team kind of lucks out and what team doesn't, but we got time. Relax. That's all I hope for.
Yep. So moving on to the next topic. What does Damian Lillard need to do to step up in this game?
I think he really just needs to not necessarily take over. I'm not going to ask him to try to score 40 points and do something that's not realistically needed. You got Bobby, you got Chris, And then you're kind of like under the radar guys who could potentially score a decent amount. AJ Green, maybe 10 to 15. You got Jay Crowder who can score. You got Malik Beasley. Brooke, maybe two, depending on his 3-point shot. There are guys there who can score. And we've seen it happen before with some of these regular season games where Lillard's in and Chris is in, but not Giannis, like that Suns game. I think Lillard just needs to do what he thinks is best to help the team win, whether that's score a lot, whether that's, kind of do a little average scoring here, not average scoring, but like maybe 20, 25 points and get the other guys involved. Kind of like, I don't remember who they were playing, but the one game where very recently where Bobby had like 30 points. A game like that where you never know who could kind of go off, but I feel like he's just going to have to do his best to put the team in a situation to allow them to succeed. Now that should be for every game, but if you don't have Giannis, you got the home court, you got the fans. The fans are going to show up. You got you got the energy. You have everything there. You have Bobby to kind of hype everyone up. You got everything that you need to win a game, and I feel like he just kind of has to go into it just thinking like, all right, we're here. It's me, everyone else. Let's see what happens. But I just don't want him to kind of think that he needs to do everything by himself in order to win. And I don't see him doing that just from kind of seeing him play throughout the season, but just kind of go into the series of let's see what works and just kind of go from there. Obviously, he has a team now that has a lot more supporting cast than I would say that some of the Trailblazers teams have had in the past. He's got other guys who can predominantly score too, just as much as he could in a game. So just kind of see what works and just kind of go from there. Let everything kind of piece together itself and not, again, like I say, force anything that's just not there and try to do something that you feel like could work, but after multiple attempts, it's just not going to work. So I'm just going to say run the offense and just kind of see who's out there who can kind of help score. But I don't know. I feel like he's got it under control. I feel like after seeing him play some of these higher end teams in the regular season. But yeah, I just feel like he's going to have to figure out how to run the offense on his own in a playoff scenario for the first round on the team that it's your first season on. So we'll see. But yeah, he's going to have to run that offense the way that he feels like is going to be the most efficient.
Yeah, and and also we gotta let's just double check to make sure that this game isn't fixed. Because here's the thing. Because here's the thing. I'm gonna talk about Lillard in a second, but I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now, and I just read that Michael Porter Jr.'s younger brother, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for a drunk driving crash that resulted in the death of a woman last year. So, the past week, Michael Porter Jr.'s younger brother, Jonte, was banned for life. Excuse me. I guess he was banned for life because there was some clarification issues on whether he was banned. Like, he could eventually come back to the NBA. No, he can never, ever, ever go back to the NBA, ever.
I might just be a little late to the party. I did not realize that was his brother. All right, continue.
That was his brother. And now Michael Porter Jr.'s other younger brother got a drunk driving crash that killed somebody. So, yeah, a lot on his mind.
Interesting.
Lot on Michael Porter Jr.'s mind right now as he heads into this series.
This guy's 24. Man, God. Seeing guys who are younger than me look 10 years older than me is still a wild thing.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I did not realize. I don't follow college sports. Obviously, he played for Mizzou. I didn't know that. I could have probably.
That's fair. No, that's fair. But but here's the thing. First of all, now I hope that nobody in Milwaukee is has gambling issues, but whatever. Going back to Lillard, I think what he needs to do is just let the game come to him. Okay, I think it's very easy when you don't have your star player around to be like, I got to do everything myself. Mm-hmm. No, you don't. Okay, you have good players around. You got Pat. You got you got Chris Middleton. You got Lopez. You got guys who can carry the scoring load. Okay, Damian Lillard's a very, very good passer, and I think if he lets other guys like run the offense, or excuse me, if he lets other guys cook, so to speak, like AJ Green, like a Patrick Beverly, if Patrick Beverly could chip in something, if God forbid, if Andre Jackson Jr. gets minutes, which I think he should.
I do too.
That again, like sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. If Damian Lillard decides this is Dame time and he shoots like 9 of 25, we're not going to win. We're not going to win. So, look, the pressure is on not only Dame, but the other guys to step up. They have to step up, especially in game 1. So, that's what Dame has to do. Just let the game come to him.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing that could help him, if the shooting isn't on for that game or just at a specific range of time throughout the game where, my shot's not up, dude, just try to get fouled. Seeing him score 35 points sometimes and 15 of them are from free throws, hey, by all means, do whatever you need to do to kind of just score points just in general, whether it's 8 free throws or 15 free throws, I don't care. But if you can somehow keep getting fouled, keep doing it. It's one of those easy things where it can make or break a game. Again, there's a lot of games where the Bucks lose by 2-3 points and guys are missing free throws. But hey, if you can get to the free throw line like 15 to 20 times, by all means, do whatever you need to do, because I feel like that could be a very under the radar type scoring accusation that they could have for winning some of these games, or just getting other players in foul trouble early, and they gotta kind of get someone else on or someone in who not necessarily is going to play a lot of minutes just in that series in general, but now they have to because someone got in foul trouble early.
Yeah, so Dame, if you're listening right now, which I don't think he is because nobody.
Please. Take us to the promised land.
Let the game come to you. All right. We got a couple more on here. What does Milwaukee have to do to slow down Tyrese Haliburton?
I feel like something big for him. He's fast. So I feel like if they can kind of like cut his way to the paint or just allow him to chuck up some 3-pointers. Now he's going to make some here or there. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's not horrible, but he's not like top tier like in the league. If he's on, he's on. And I feel like there was, he had a stint later into the season, like after the All-Star break of I think it was honestly after the All-Star game itself. He just kind of slowed down a lot scoring-wise or just the 3-point percentage-wise. So I feel like if they could kind of keep him around there and just kind of allow him to force up some shots and just kind of, build up that poor 3-point shooting and then have him change to something else, I feel like that could kind of help them just because he's known for passing. But if he can't find a way to kind of give the ball up and take a shot instead, I feel like that could kind of benefit them in the long run. Again, it's just kind of hoping that the majority of the shots just don't go in. But knowing that he's a passer, he can find open guys. So there's going to have to be a way that they're going to have to figure out who he's going to potentially be targeting the most and how they can kind of block it off. Obviously, it's not going to work every single time, but it would be nice to kind of limit his 10-plus assists and just kind of force him to shoot himself.
Yeah, they gotta have. I feel like they gotta have like multiple. Like they gotta have multiple guys on him. Okay, they gotta. I'm not saying double teams, but if you can, like especially on every pick and roll that he has, like if you could hedge on him and then just switch everything, I think that would really, really help. Because like Haliburton's like a good, like you say, he's a good passer, but there have been too many occasions where like Milwaukee has like left him open.
Mm-hmm.
And you never think that funky jump shot's going to go in, but trust me, it does.
It does.
So, it does. So, what they need to do, okay, they just got to, I keep saying this, let the other guys beat you, okay? Because again, I'm not sure how good they're supporting passes, but I don't know. Like Pascal Siakam's a good player, but if you like, he's one of those guys. Like if he doesn't get going downhill, I like Milwaukee's chances a little more.
Yeah, I do too.
But if he's going downhill and he's drawing fouls, it's game over.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can limit Haliburton and Siakam, I do like Milwaukee's chances. Also, make sure you guard Miles Turner outside the 3-point line because he can shoot from out there.
Yep, he can.
He can shoot from out.
Super, 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 super underrated. He was one of those guys when they got Brook Lopez. It was either I wanted him or I wanted Miles Turner. They leave him open a lot too, which I feel like frustrates me a lot, especially in some of those games where they could have easily won had they not just contested Miles Turner a little bit. But yeah, he's going to be a sneaky guy who can put up 20 plus points, maybe make 4 3-pointers as well too.
So yeah, those are some of the things that Milwaukee has to do to slow down Haliburton. Oh, don't forget about TJ McConnell either.
Mm-hmm.
You better stick to TJ McConnell like white on rice. Like you better stick to him. If TJ McConnell scores 15 points, if he scores even if TJ McConnell has a somewhat good game, I'm going to lose it.
I already know what's gonna what could potentially happen.
I know. All right, last couple of things. What concerns do you have from Milwaukee heading into this game?
I guess my biggest concern is who is going to show up, and is it going to be in a positive or negative manner? Obviously, there are guys who can show up and kind of take some shots up, but is it going to be beneficial for the Bucks or not? But I guess my main concern is how's the offense going to look, and how are they going to be able to hold some of the Pacers' top scorers? Because Pacers are a team where, not all the guys are the best, but when they can blend and mesh together, they can turn Obi Toppin into an all-star looking player. So I feel like it's just going to be a matter of who are they not going to allow to go off and have that negatively affect them. So I guess just overall biggest concern is, can they stop the Pacers, I guess, offensively for being a dominantly high-scoring team in general without Giannis?
Yeah. I mean, like how are they gonna look? That's my biggest concern. Is they've been very much hit or miss this year in terms of, can they win without Giannis or Dame? And now they have Dame and they have Chris, but do they need those three to win? Like that would be my question. And under Griffin, they couldn't. They didn't have one of those guys in there. It was game over. It was an automatic loss.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a little better out of Doc Rivers, but there have been some games this year where I felt as though Milwaukee could have won, but they didn't. So,
Yeah, it'll be like the first 4 or 5 minutes of that first quarter. I'll be able to tell okay, this is either going to be a close game. Maybe they lose. It'll be close, or it's just going to be like a blowout. Because I don't want to get.
If they come out flat, it's over.
Yep, I don't want to get.
If they come out flat, you might as well move on to game 2.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the Bucks could go up 15-2 in the first 3 minutes and still end up losing by 20. So it's one of those things where the first 4-ish minutes, I think, of the first quarter and the third quarter are really going to set the tone of how the first half's going to look and how the second half's going to look. And obviously that's pretty straightforward that's the start of the game and the start of the second half. But you never know. Sometimes Bucks start off really cold going into the half, and that kind of loses them the game. So we'll kind of see. And I think that's going to be a make or break, I think, of how not necessarily the game will look, but how the series will look. And if they're able to kind of bounce back, if that were to happen.
Yes. So, and like I said, they're going to have to get used to not having Giannis in this game. And God forbid, I hope they do, because Giannis ain't walking through that door.
No.
So, look out for that. Last one. What is your prediction for what's going to happen game 1 in Milwaukee?
Okay. I can be biased and just say the Bucks are going to win.
Okay.
I do think there is a chance. I still feel like the Pacers have a high chance of winning the series in general. But I don't want to count out the Bucks yet. It's one of those things where this team is different from last year. You don't. It's one of those things where are you going to have, do I feel more comfortable with a team of just Drew Holiday running the offense or a team of Damian Lillard running the offense? And I would feel a little more comfortable with Lillard just with his potential scoring capabilities. I'm not dis, uh, discrediting Drew Holiday with what he's done, but I just feel like knowing Lillard and how he can run the offense, I feel a little more comfortable with that. But I'm going to say if the Bucks win, I'm going to say it's going to be 100. Oh my gosh! See, I don't even know if the Bucks are going to be able to score that much. I'm going to say it's going to be a high-scoring game, whether the Bucks win or lose. I feel like minimum the scores are going to be in the 120s to 130s. I'm going to say Bucks win 138 to 130. That's final prediction.
I'm actually going the other end just because of, the playoff series are generally about a feeling out process.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to go the opposite end and say Pacers win game 1, 105-97.
Okay.
I just think that
No, I totally get that. I totally
it's a momentum series. Milwaukee has lost game once in the past. Okay, especially in the first round. And let me go back to the stat I meant to say, but it probably didn't come off that way. When I said that Milwaukee was 3-3 in game ones, I was more or less specifically talking about first round series. So I wasn't talking about game ones as a whole for the entirety of the playoffs. I more or less was talking about game ones in the first round. Sorry to make that clear, but I just wanted to, in case anybody got confused what I meant, that's what I meant. I just meant game ones in the first round. Again, it's a momentum series. It's a feeling out process, and it could also be considered like a boxing match.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Pacers could very well hit the Bucks in the mouth in the first round or in the first game. Excuse me. Bucks could very well and have a counterattack. Okay, it's a boxing match / it's a chess game. The first 2 games you're going to be able to do whatever you want. Out game 3, game 4, game 5, game 6, wherever, you're really one team's going to take away what the other team does well and vice versa. So it's really just about that, is who can do it better of taking away what the other team likes to do well.
Yes.
Okay?
I think it's one of those things where, yes, I can kind of feel like how with your prediction of Pacers kind of taking game 1. If they do, obviously this is pretty straightforward. The Bucks need to win game 2. You can't, I know last year they did, you just can't lose all these home games, especially with home court advantage. So if they're going to lose game 1, they're really going to have to fight and push and win game 2. I don't want to go down 2-0 and go to Indiana and kind of have them go into their home court advantage where they could win it there and have all the momentum kind of shifted their way. It's never fun losing your home court advantage. So definitely going to have to split the series 1-1 or try to take it 2-0. But yeah, if they're going to lose the game, you got to win. You got to win at least one of them at home before going into that next series. I'm nervous.
So,
I don't know. I do have one thing I forgot about, but yeah, no, you finish.
No, what were you going to say?
So I saw this post today. Nothing to do with the playoffs or anything like that, but still Bucks related. I got really excited and then really kind of mad at 5 seconds. The picture is John Horst and Cade Cunningham. I'm like, oh, no way. Are the Bucks going to try to pursue Cade Cunningham? No. It's the John Horst is more than mildly interested in the newly created position of president of basketball operations for the Pistons. So besides Horst, 2 other potential candidates for the Pistons job, which are former Portland GM Neil Olshey and former NBA
Also,
player. Yep. And JJ Redick. So it's one of those things where it's like, is there a potential?
Wait, so go back for a sec. So he's interested in hiring somebody, or he's
interested in taking a job for the Pistons.
Oh.
Their newly created position of president of basketball operations for the Pistons. It's him, JJ Redick, and that Neil Olshey guy. Olshey.
Well, here's the thing. Well, number one, I would not hire the Blazers GM because they got because during his tenure there, they had workplace shit that went on there that, so I don't know why I would hire him. I mean, JJ Redick, that could be honestly I don't understand why teams just don't hire smart basketball people.
Correct.
JJ Redick's a smart basketball person. That can only do you good. Again, people are saying, "Oh, that's such an outside the box. How you need to have a basketball guy?" But it's who's a better basketball guy than JJ Redick right now? He hosts a podcast with maybe the second greatest player in the world. How can you go wrong with hiring JJ Redick? You can't. JJ Redick's talent right now is way he's probably superseded everyone at ESPN to the point he doesn't even need ESPN at this point. If he wanted to just do his podcast with LeBron James, he could very well do that.
Correct, and
he has a podcast with LeBron James. LeBron James never went on a podcast ever. You never saw that guy on one podcast outside of the one that he owns, the barbershop. On his own production company, LeBron James, you never saw him on any other podcast. That is such a no-brainer. And who was the other guy you said?
That the Portland GM. Him, JJ Redick, and
okay. I mean, look, if John Horst, depending on if they flame out in the first round, you've seen executives make the move where it's I've taken this team as far as they can, far as they can go. I can't. There's nothing more I can do. Let me try it for a different challenge. Now, it's Troy Weaver's still going to be there, so let's make that very clear. Is you're not getting you're getting a top decision maker, but you're not getting rid of Troy Weaver, who's
correct.
The main reason why the Detroit Pistons are complete shit. But at the moment, I'm not gonna focus on John Horst potentially.
Yeah, no, I just saw that. That's interesting. It was so out of the blue. I just thought we were gonna try to get Kate Cunningham, and people in the comments are like, "You got me for a second."
You did. So, Evan, you got anything else?
No. Again, games on Sunday, so we got 2 days. Again, Bucks Pacers. We got some other top teams. Again, the rest of the play-in is tonight, so we'll kind of see who will be playing the Celtics and who will be playing the Thunder as well. But yeah, we just gotta hope. We'll try to keep updated too with Giannis and his progress as well whenever more things are kind of released about it as well.
Yep. So, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Milwaukee Bucks podcast, and me and Evan will obviously provide you game by game playoff updates as they become available. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.